Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X and now on TikTok. I can't underline this enough. Not one view on there. Movies TV Mad, free, about 4 videos, bite-sized videos. Check them out. Help me out. So welcome to Monday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily, and we've got DC Universe updates aplenty, but it's not just about the updates. It's about, what do they call it? I've got everything written down because there's so many things that I forget names and terms. So yeah. So James Gunn's been very, very clever about his casting, because no matter what director you are, you have to go by the diversity, equity, and inclusion percentages. There has to be a percentage of diverse voices on your production behind the scenes and on the cast. And James Gunn has played this very, very smartly, because it's clear James Gunn didn't want a diverse Superman, Lois Lane, Jonathan, Martha Kent, Jimmy Olsen. So he was clear, Lex Luthor. So he was clear on that he didn't want diverse people playing those roles. Or at the very least, the studio didn't. So they made sure that they were comic book accurate. So that's been very, very interesting. So what he's done, in terms with characters that don't really matter, he's given kind of these third-rate characters, he's casted diverse actors. So he's been very, very cynical here, but I have to commend him on that. But we do have some casting updates. So, Michaela Hoover, coincidentally, well, it's no coincidence, she was in Guardians 3. She would be playing Cat Grant. She looks nothing like Cat Grant from the comics. That's fine. She's a solid actor. She looks like a Latino actress. That's fine. What's his name? Christopher McDonald will be playing Ron Traub. I have never heard of this character from DC Comics. Is he an original character? He is an actor of color. Again, probably a character that doesn't really matter. Brought in, a diverse actor will be playing him. Now, Steve Lombard has been cast and will be played by Saturday Night Live vet Beck Bennett, who's a bit of a comedian. Now, Steve Lombard's a bit of an asshole. He's the office clown. He loves himself. He looks in the mirror. He's vain. He tries to chat up all the women. So I like the idea of a comedian playing that role. Now, in Man of Steel, we did have a Steve Lombard. I thought it was wrong for him not to be in BVS and in Justice League as well. Maybe trying to cheer up Lois and get a date from her. It would have been interesting. So I forgot his name. He's a really, really good actor who's been in a lot of serious dramas. So anyway, they've upped their casting. They've updated their casting. So none of these actors are bad actors. I approve of all of this. But what's interesting, and we'll talk about how this makes the Daily Planet dynamic in James Gunn's Superman movie a lot more interesting than it has been in Man of Steel and in Superman Returns, because this is very, very comic booky. To have all these characters from the Daily Planet team from the comics is very, very good. Now, Smallville did introduce a Cat Grant, and I think in season 10 or season 9, and she was very, very good and comic book accurate. But anyway, so first of all, I want to talk about how he's hacked the diversity and equity inclusion system. As I say, you have to play by these rules. DEI is something you have to adhere to, whether you agree with it or not. So what he's done, he's brought in Otis, right, who in Superman 78 and Superman 2 plays Lex Luthor's, dopey clot of a, henchman, played by Ned Beatty brilliantly. So nobody really cares about Otis. Nobody cares if Otis is being played by an actor, a white actor, an actor of colour. So he's going to be played by an actor of colour. Never heard of him, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Again, I swear to you, the only reason that Otis is in this to tick a box in DEI. Again, James Gunn is being very, very cleverly cynical here, because he's avoided kind of cultural swaps with the main characters, as I pointed out before. Then you've got Perry White, who's played by an extremely good black actor, forgot his name, but he's very good. In fact, he's probably the best actor for the job, or one of the best actors, and that's what we asked for. That's real diversity and representation, when the people you cast actually deserve to be there for their ability and their talent, and no one's going to complain about that. We've got Miss Tessmarker being played by, again, forgot her name, but a Latino actress. The mechanic or the machinist or whoever she is, right? She'll be played by a Latino actress as well. Now, she is quite important because, you know, she's a member of the authority. She's introduced in this movie, so it's very, very interesting. When you look at Guy Gardner, he's comic book accurate, being played by Nathan Fillion. I like Nathan Fillion a lot. I've always liked Nathan Fillion. He's a good mate of James Gunn's. James Gunn employs his friends. James Gunn employs friends and family because he can trust them. I don't think it's about, you know, people are saying this and that. I think he just doesn't trust a lot of people in Hollywood. I don't think Gunn likes the Hollywood system. I think he's a bit of an outsider, and I think he likes to work with people he trusts, like Steve Agee. And I don't think this is a big problem to me. You know, Christopher Nolan does it. You know, at the end of the day, Snyder works with people behind the scenes he's always worked with. They all do it. So at the end of the day, and you know, I've always complained about this to a point, because no one from the outside of the Hollywood system gets a bloody chance. So how can you talk about diversity when you're always employing and casting from inside the system? But it's all about trust, because the entertainment industry is a poisonous industry, and a jealous and a bitter industry. So you need people you can trust. So I totally get it. So this is where the diversity is in the film. He's played with the diversity, equity, inclusion system. So he's kept away so he can keep the roles that he wants comic book accurate to be comic book accurate. Superman, Lois, Ma and Pa Kent, you know, Jimmy Olsen, clearly an important character to James Gunn as well. But the other characters are mainly kind of grade B, C characters, and they're, you know, they're diverse castings. I think it's very, very interesting what he's done. He's playing with the system. He's found a way to hack the system. It'll be interesting when this film is reviewed and spoken about if Access Media and the Hollywood system criticize James Gunn for doing this. I think it's brilliant, because it's I approve of diversity. I think you look at a role and you think, who is the best actor for the job? For example, again, another name I've forgotten, the guy who played Commissioner Gordon, or not yet Commissioner Gordon, Jim Gordon, in The Batman. That actor is one of the best actors around. He deserves to play Jim Gordon. No complaints. Although that movie seems to hate white people, and all the white cops are bad cops and all the black people are good people, like the one who's going for the mayor election and all that, and the white mayor election guy who's mayor, who gets murdered, he's a really bad dude, right? So there's lots of white racism in that film, but I really like Matt Reeves and I like that film, but that's one thing I don't like about the film. I don't know if you've got it with me, I don't like bigotry towards anyone, because I faced bigotry just because white English people were racist to me when I was young and at school. It doesn't mean I hate white people. That would be dumb for me to see racism everywhere just because I was racially abused. I was even racially abused here in Cyprus when we used to come here on holidays. Well, I won't bore you about that yet again. So now we've kind of covered James Gunn hacking the kind of the diversity equity system. It's interesting what he's done, and I just thought I'd point it out for you. Now later on I want to talk about the kind of confirmation that Wonder Woman will be recast in DC Universe, and it's all about Creature Commandos. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but I just want to make sure that I've covered everything. So we've spoken about Michaela Hoover, Cat Grant, Ron Trout, never heard of him, but he's been played by Christopher McDonald, Steve Lombard. So we've covered all of that. So now let's talk about this very, very interesting comic book accurate Daily Planet team. Now, you know, I think the overstuffed criticism could come at James Gunn when people are reviewing this movie. But if anyone's capable of not having all these characters, and you know, there's more characters in this movie than there was in Man of Steel. That's a small a small group of characters in that film. Same with Superman 78, same with Superman Returns. But this movie has a lot of characters. And the overstuffed criticism could come at James Gunn. I'm not going to criticize him for all these characters yet. I need to see the movie and how he uses them. Execution and how you use a lot of characters means it doesn't have to be too much. It doesn't have to be overstuffed. Steve Lombard can be, one or two scenes and that's that. Cat Grant, Moran Parkett, all of these characters are, of course, in the comics and he wants to bring them in. But as I say, the main reason why a lot of these characters are there is because of diversity and equity, and James Gunn playing that system very smartly. Of course, he has to deny that. If he saw my videos or I saw it, if he saw me saying it on, X, Twitter or, Threads, he'd probably deny because that's how he has to play it. But I know James, I'm a very clever guy, even if I do say so myself, and I can see exactly what you're doing. But potentially this Daily Planet family could be very interesting. It could have its serious nature and it can have its comedic. It can have its comedic nature as well. So it could be very, very good. And it really does depend on how it's executed. But it could come across overstuffed. But I don't think Gunn's stupid. And I think he understands having a lot of characters in this film could be a problem. But he's good at grouping characters together, working with actors and making it work. So it may work, it may not work. But this could be a very interesting, entertaining Daily Planet dynamic. And one thing's for sure, he's taking the Daily Planet very, very serious. Now, in the past in live action, we've had Lois, Clark, Jimmy, and Perry. And in Smallville, we had Cat Grant a little bit. And like in the Lois and Clark show, we had Clark, Lois, we had the Tracy Scoggins character. Was she Cat Grant? I can't remember. Jimmy Olsen and Perry. But this is going to have everyone from the comics in this Daily Planet team. So that's a lot of characters, but it's clear to me that James Gunn is taking the Daily Planet element of this movie very, very serious. Now, I've said that in modern days, I think a Superman movie should be a period piece because newspapers were more relevant, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early thousands. They're not relevant anymore because you can get news anywhere. You can get news from YouTube, Twitter, Threads, Instagram. And I mean, if I told you everywhere else you could get news from on the internet, we wouldn't be able to finish everything else I want to talk about. So that's why I think it's easier to do a newspaper, focus on a newspaper in a period piece. It's going to be interesting how he does it in this film. Because as I say, newspapers are no longer relevant. Will they talk about that? Will that be a thing? I mean, it was mentioned in Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. Perry White tells Clark, nobody reads newspapers anymore. So it could be that he focuses on that. So this could be a longer movie than we think. I mean, I definitely think it will be at least 2.5 hours, but there have been rumours of a 3-hour movie, but it's not like James Gunn deals with short movies. If you look at most of his movies, they're around 2 hours. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad was about just over 2 hours. I think his longest film can come up to 2.5 hours, but it's rare. Normally James Gunn's movies are short and sweet. He doesn't seem to like long movies, but we will see the length of this movie. So what he's doing, he's padding this movie out. So there's going to be a lot of Daily Planet, then there's going to be the Lex Luthor family, there's going to be Miss Tessmacher, and there's going to be Otis. And I'm pretty convinced that Lex Luthor may not be a billionaire in this movie, but a mad scientist. But we've seen evidence, I think we've seen a Luthor Corp sign. So maybe he's actually a billionaire who's also a mad scientist in this film. He's going to be both. Sorry, there's a spider beneath me and it's putting me off. But we will continue because I am a professional. Living in Cyprus means dealing with mice. I woke up and there was a mouse on my bed the other day. Because you have to have the doors and windows open. It's boiling. It's 40 Celsius every fucking day. And these little critters can get in. Anyway, we'll get back to what we was talking about. So the Daily Planet kind of family thing is very, very interesting. Now, we've been talking about Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman and DC Universe for a long time. And James Gunn's stance on her has been very, very interesting. Now, when people have accused him of firing her and replacing her, he has denied it, and as I've said in the past, not very vehemently. Now, there were rumours that, Gal Gadot actually said months and months ago that James and Peter had spoken to her and they were going to work on a movie together. And something like that was coming out in Variety and THR, and then kind of something happened, and I think Gal Gadot deleted those comments or what, I don't know. But it's all very, very, very strange because they have said that they wanted to use her. I think we're coming very close to a Gal Gadot kind of Henry Cavill announcement, giving out some bullshit why she won't be playing Wonder Woman anymore. I think it's pretty clear, and it's always been clear to me, that Gal wasn't going to play Wonder Woman. I approve of this decision because if Henry can't play Superman, if Ben can't play or won't play Batman, I don't see the point of using Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. You need a new younger actress, you need a new direction, this is a new universe. So a lot of people will be angry with Gunn, but I think the only thing people are going to be angry about that he was less than honest. He was very economical with the truth yet again. It's easy. It's not his fault in a way because he's under pressure. There's people pressurizing him. You've got the Snyderverse fans very aggressive towards him. It's very, very difficult to be totally honest all the time, and he gets himself caught out in, I'm not going to say the word lies, but I don't want to be too strong. But as I say, being economical with the truth, and in a way, with everyone coming after him and wanting different things, it is difficult. But if you are replacing her, James, which I think you are, we'll get to why and how I think you just confirmed that. I think you should just have been direct. It's better. It doesn't matter how people react at the end of the day. This is your vision, your world. You must make your decisions. You must stand by your decisions and not be afraid. I know I'm not in your position, but you have to be honest at the end of the day. Now, a fan asked him, there's rumours about Wonder Woman in Creature Commandos. He goes, but you haven't cast a Wonder Woman for Creature Commandos yet? He's replied with no. Now, this is very, very interesting because he could have said, no, Gal Gadot's our Wonder Woman and she'll be voicing Wonder Woman in Creature Commandos, which will be the first entry point of DC Universe. It's an animated series coming on Max later this year. And he's already said the actors playing these animated characters will also play these characters in live action. So, whoever plays these characters in this animated series will be playing them in live action. So it's not like he can say, well, we've got one Wonder Woman for the animation and another Wonder Woman for live action, which is Gal Gadot. No. He's pretty much confirmed, which we've all suspected, or what the clever people, like I've suspected for a very long time, that Gal Gadot will no longer be playing Wonder Woman. And honestly, I don't think this is a big deal. I'm not angry about it. I was very disappointed because with the Henry Cavill situation, because we were told, he told us as well, studio told us he was returning. Then James Gunn comes in and says no. And again, it's a complicated situation. They obviously, I believe this, that they lied to us. Everyone lied to us. Henry, I think Henry knew. Henry knew. There's no way, right, I believe that Henry was lied to as well. Because if they lied to Henry, that is disgusting. And maybe we'll hear the truth again. But I can't believe that Henry wasn't in on it. And I think he was. I'm sorry, I love Henry, but I think he was forced into a position that he was in on the lie. They lied so they could get more, tickets and butts on seats for Black Adam. It's as simple as that. I still love Henry Cavill. Great Superman, great lad. I don't blame him for this. I'm just saying how I feel about it. That was a despicable situation, and the fans were lied to. It's not the first time WB have lied to us about DC. Going back to Justice League and, the Snyder Cut doesn't exist and all that bollocks and what they did to Zack and Ray and everybody else. So it's not like they're moral people. A lot of the old people who used to run WB are still hiding somewhere. They're still there, right? Okay. So I believe Gal Gadot will be recast, and if there is a new actress voicing her in Creature Commandos, then at the end of the day, that's going to be the actress who's going to be playing her in live action, and it's going to be very, very interesting who that is. And I think the time is coming when we find out officially that Gal Gadot has been replaced as Wonder Woman, aka Diana Prince. I thought she was a wonderful Wonder Woman in the first film, in Batman vs Superman, in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought she tried her best in Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 84, which was a terrible film, but she was a producer on that film as well. She loved Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins boring on about diversity and, we're here and our voices should be heard. Patty, your voice shouldn't be heard anywhere because you're as good a director as I am, and I direct amateur dramatics, and I write and I act in amateur dramatics, and I'm crap. And you're crap too. And if I can admit I'm crap, you should admit you're crap as well. So I don't want to fucking hear your voice anywhere. Leave Hollywood, pack your bags, right, and leave. All the best things about the first Wonder Woman were down to Zack Snyder and not you. You can't even fucking direct action, right? I've spoken about this before. It's Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman 2017, not Patty Jenkins, or at least, at the very least, Zack Snyder's and Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 2017. Anyway, so forget that. So I think Gal's gone. I'm happy with that decision. I'm very comfortable with that decision. I've already told you, no good having a go at me. I love Gal's Wonder Woman. When she was directed by Zack Snyder, she was at her best. She's not the strongest of actor, as you will find out in Disney's Snow White, when she plays the evil fucking queen. I mean, who sits there, right? And this is, of course, about diversity and equity. How Gal is diverse casting, right? When you look at her background and her DNA, I don't know. But anyway, Gal Gadot, right, could just about play Wonder Woman and Diana Prince. Directed by Zack, he protected her, right? She's protected with Chris Pine, a really, really good actor. He kind of carried her in the first one, but she looked good, she reacted good, it worked, she did well. But there's no way that Gal Gadot has the acting chops to play the Wicked Witch, the evil queen, in Snow White. I mean, Rachel Zegler is a spoilt brat, she's rude, she's arrogant, but she does have a good voice. I don't think she's the best actress ever. I don't think we're talking about Judy Garland, nowhere near. But I think she can carry a scene, right? She's okay, but she isn't the greatest actress, right? She really shouldn't be playing Snow White. But I think she's a better pick. I mean, look, Snow White, Latino actress, it's odd, but there you go. I mean, the character is called Snow White after all. But never mind, it's up to them. We'll see how that car crash ends up. But Gal Gadot hasn't got the acting teeth to play the evil queen. And that, my friends, is going to be a joke. And we're going to have a good laugh at Gal's expense. I'm sorry, Gal. I'm sorry. But you should have respectfully declined. You should have said, do you know what? I can't fucking do this. Because this really is going to expose you as an actor. You just haven't got the ability to play this character. And I'm stunned that Disney or whoever made the decision makers of this film, thought it was a good idea to have a woman who can't carry a scene on her own to play the Wicked Witch, the evil queen. It is weird. Anyway, so if she is gone, I approve of the decision because I think it's time to freshen up the Wonder Woman role. She's been great, as I say, under Zack Snyder, but it's time to move on. And if Zack does restore the Snyderverse, she can still play Wonder Woman, and that works for me because Zack's the only one who seems to get really strong performances. He knows how to use her in the right way. No question, not the worst actress ever or anything like that. But we've all got to know our limits. I know my limits as an actor, as a writer, as a director. I know I'm crap. But we have fun. Amateur dramatics is about having fun. It's about doing the job, not necessarily being good at the job. But you want to entertain your audience, and I think we do that. So it's a lot of fun doing that. But I don't go around with my nose in the air going, oh, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a director. No, I'm shit at what I do, but I love what I do, so I keep on doing it. And they're the facts of the situation. So if she is gone, I am not fussed. I won't be angry. I just want it confirmed, and they need to stop lying about this. And James has delayed announcing this decision for the longest of times. Now, finally, because I haven't spoken about DC or Superman for a while, I want to talk about Jor-El and Lara, because they haven't been cast in Superman. Now, this is a thing where there's no origin story, but I think, and I don't know if we've discussed this before, but I want to discuss it again. And I spoke to James Gunn himself on social media about this. He hasn't replied, of course, but I think it would be a shame if we don't have a Jor-El and Lara in this movie. I think we will. I definitely think we will. There's a Fortress of Solitude, so Jor-El and Lara are going to speak to him. Is he going to try and do Bryan Singer where he uses Brando? Old excerpts from Brando? I don't know. I don't think so. You can't do that at the end of the day, because you can only use the old stuff. So once you get to the sequels, if there are going to be sequels, you can't use Brando anymore. So I think he will cast people to play those roles. It'll be interesting who he gets. But it's interesting at this point that he hasn't announced them. But this is nothing new for Gunn with Superman. The way he's announced cast in dribs and drabs has been very, very interesting to me. Has he truly been actually casting while he's making the movie? Or has he just decided not to release the whole cast? Maybe he feels there's more hype if you announce it slowly, but surely in dribs and drabs. So, yeah, I'd love to know in the comments down below. Do you want a Jor-El and Lara in this movie? Do you think they're important? I absolutely think they're important. And in terms of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, of course, are we going to have Kara's mother and father? I forgot his name. It's something L. He was in Smallville. I was rewatching season 7, and what's his name? Oh, damn it! I forgot her dad's name. Anyway, in Smallville, he's a villain. So it'd be very interesting, because I've never read. I've read excerpts of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I haven't read all of it. But I don't know if the parents are in it. So it could be. But I think this is going to be a very House of L centric franchise. I mean, it's very interesting that the first 2 movies are Superman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and I think definitely The Authority will be the 3rd movie, because they haven't come anywhere near, talking about the Batman, Brave and the Bold movie. That's interesting. That hasn't been spoken about, and we'll see if Andy Muschietti is still going to be directing that movie. You know my theory about that. They only announced him to amp up the ticket sales for The Flash. It didn't work. We'll see if, look, when I look back at The Flash, Ben Affleck Batman's costume was horrible. Horrible. I mean, it really was. I mean, it's worse than cosplay. I mean, there's some really good cosplay, isn't there? So, I thought Ben Affleck's Batman was crap. I thought his Bruce, he just didn't seem in the zone to be playing Bruce Wayne in that film. It didn't work. Now, in terms of Keaton, even though he was old and you can see it's difficult for him to be quite physical, he still played it well. His performance, Michael Keaton at least felt like he wanted to be there. I think Ben Affleck didn't feel that way to me. And like the Batman stuff was mostly a stunt person in that costume. We barely saw Affleck in that movie, and that was hugely disappointing. But I thought Michael Keaton was brilliant, and at the very least, it felt like Keaton wanted to be there. He loves Batman, he's proud of playing Batman, and so I'm really grateful, even though it was nostalgia bait, that he was there. And if I just put together all the scenes of The Flash I like, they would be Supergirl and they would be Keaton's Batman. That was really, they were the best bits. And when they're fighting Zod and the Kryptonians, and they have to keep on going back again to do the same thing. I thought that was brilliant, but the rest of it was a piece of shit. So we don't know who's playing Batman yet. I think Batman is definitely coming after The Authority, and I've said before, The Authority is something very important to James Gunn, and I believe he will write and direct that movie. It's why he's rushing Peacemaker 2. So at weekends he's going off to Peacemaker 2. He's probably directing the odd episode, but mostly it's being produced without him, but he's overseeing it. What it is with James, he's a very hard worker. Whether you like Gunn or not, he really is someone who's there. If he's in charge of something, he's there. So he's he's making sure, well, via technology, that he knows what's going on with Peacemaker 2. He wants that done so he can focus on the Authority. I don't know this for sure. He hasn't told me that. No one's told me that. It's just a theory. So I do believe that James Gunn will be writing and directing the Authority, and it will be the third movie in DC Universe. Whether this succeeds or fails, I think James Gunn is working very hard to make this very, very special. Whether you love the Snyderverse like I do. The Snyderverse, for now, maybe forever, is gone. We'll always have those movies to enjoy. But there's a new universe, and at the very least, I'm going to give it a fighting chance.